Moving on to the panel discussion now. I'm very pleased to have with me Jean-Baptiste Anat from Eurogroup Consulting, who specialize in organization strategy and management. We have Jose Blanco, from the Spanish Association ASIAMAC, who is also chair of our National Associations Committee. Daniela Niederstetter from the Italian rental company Niederstetter, and Florence Dupont from the French Rental Association DLR. So thank you all for being with us here today. First of all, I would like to turn to Jose. So Jose, would you like to give your thoughts on the 2023 market report? And as the person within the National Associations Committee who really got the ball rolling with the idea of a European Rental Week, could you say a few words about the importance of the event, especially as the theme for this year is investing in people? Jose.
Thank you very much, Hugh. Thank you also to Stefan and to the Loxan team for hosting us. And yes, let's talk about the market. Well, as our colleagues from Standard & Poor's mentioned before, market is changing, and this is a fact. There are several reasons for that. She mentioned before the price, the interest rate, the price of the housing, but it's still construction looks more or less okay. Differences across Europe is we can see on the market report that some countries might be struggling a little bit more than others, but the good news for our industry is that it is very resilient, and we don't work just with construction. In fact, many of our members work on events, work on any kind of industrial activities, agriculture, also on municipal services and so on. So this makes our industry very resilient, very adaptable to the different fluctuations of the market, and also helps our customers to be resilient, because rental sometimes is part of the solution of the customer, sometimes helps the customer when they need an extra support with additional equipment. So this is also part of the resiliency of the different sectors we work in. Our issue is probably that we are not as known as we would like to be, and this is one of the reasons why we decided to start with the European Rental Week, because we provide services, as we mentioned, to many different sectors. I mean, if there's a sports competition, there will be portable toilets, there will be a lot of things that are rented. And the reason to start the European Rental Week is to give more visibility to our industry, to what we do, to the solutions that we provide. And the Rental Week is focused on giving visibility to the companies, but especially to the people that make it possible. We are here today outside of Paris, nice sunny day, and with a lot of equipment in the back, but this equipment would not work without the people. And as Jean-Baptiste will probably mention before, people have changed. We all have changed after COVID, and ways that we still do not understand. And this is one of the reasons why probably we started this project, to understand a little bit better how our people and how the people that we will employ in the future is changing.
Thank you very much, Jose. So people are really key to everything that we do. So with that, I would like to now turn to Jean-Baptiste, who, as has been mentioned a couple of times now, is carrying out a project for us, a study for us, on attracting and retaining people in the rental industry. So Jean-Baptiste, could you introduce the project and give us some insights into what you have found so far?
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. First of all, I'd like to say that this study that we are carrying out is a fantastic symbol of the collective ambition that you have to reinforce talent attraction and address the retention issues. So this is on the first thing, a great opportunity, I think, for the industry. As you might know, the study is structured in three main parts: literature review, in-depth interviews with different rental company HR experts and representatives from national associations, and a survey pondering the different levers that impact attraction and retention, which has been prepared and which will be rolled out in the following months. A few words perhaps on our key findings. First key findings. Generally speaking, as you might know, in all sectors of the economy and throughout the world, we can see difficulty in finding workers with the right skill set. This attraction challenge is reinforced by the retention difficulties encountered. According to the Gallup State of the Global Workforce in 2023, 51% of the worldwide workforce is actually seeking new job opportunities. So it's major, massive. When we look at the equipment rental industry, a common trend seems to be that attracting employees is a bigger challenge than retaining them. That's a first key finding. Although difficulties in attracting profiles may occur in different types of jobs, within the industry, most vacancies are in field roles, which are highly in competition with other sectors. Technical jobs and transport professions are particularly concerned. And this can be explained by several factors. First of all, a lack of awareness, and you mentioned it, of what the industry really represents. A supposed feeling that wage disparities are in the balance, supposedly also arduous nature of the job, and in some cases, constraints linked to work-life balance and more generally speaking, flexible working hours. So on a more positive note, we've noticed that considerable efforts are dedicated to face these challenges through various innovative initiatives by rental companies and national and European associations. First of all, strong investments in industry promotion and branding. And this is not only led by big companies, with very active engagements on social media, sponsoring initiatives and lobbying and educational work with local, political and economic leaders, and more generally with all structures and stakeholders in the educational system. Secondly, efforts to promote diversity and inclusion. Some companies are forging stronger connections with schools and embracing robust D&I, so diversity and inclusion policies, by recruiting, for example, ex-military personnel, individuals with crime justice backgrounds, and those under 25 not in the education or employment. More and more companies are seeking to attract women also across the entire value chain, as they are very poorly represented in the field jobs. Thirdly, training employee benefits. Now, numerous companies now offer training programs covering management and technical skills. Companies in industry also increase focusing on actions to improve teams' day-to-day operations, quality of life at work, while keeping health and security top priority. To sum up, our initial findings show that rental industry has great potential that is still unevenly exploited. It is an industry whose objectives in terms of diversity, inclusion, CSR, and technological innovation are in line with the aspiration of a growing number of citizens. In our view, one of the key to success for the future of the industry lies in the effort to coordinate and embody the initiatives undertaken with different companies across Europe. And to achieve this, national and European associations need to continue their efforts to amplify the initiatives undertaken at the local level. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jean-Baptiste. So there are definitely challenges, but it's good to hear a lot of positivity as well about what companies of all sizes and associations are doing, and how the industry is placed to succeed. And so, thinking about that, I would like to bring Daniela into the discussion. So Daniela, in your experience, what do you think is important when attracting and retaining people to the industry?
Yeah, hello. So I often ask candidates why they would come to work with Niederstetter, and most of the important things are that they are talking about culture and about values, and that is what we wanted to show on the market. That is what we are working with our employees. For example, we do a lot of trainings with our employees, not only technical trainings, but also like personal growth. It's where you can grow, where you can where you learn how to in what skills are you good at, and how you can show them on the market. And for me, the most important thing is the future is the teamwork, because every individual that comes into a company wants to be part of something. And this company, if you share the same values, you can work for a long time together. And is this positive approach to work and to show that you really love what you're doing. And that is what we always show on the market. We have a lot of new machines on the market. We have trained experts on the market. We call our technicians experts because they are really good at doing their job, and they find solutions to all the problems that are on the construction sites, and they give many solutions to our clients. We have discussions about how the work was and how we can do better. And this is our personal and technical growth that where people is important. And this, as you see, young people who wanted to work in the rental business, they need more like support. They wanted to grow, but they need support, and they need people who are around them, and they help. They help to grow. And I think in the future, the more data analysts we have, the more software specialists we have, the more professional instructors we have, the more we need people who are content creators and do the creative jobs. Because I think in the future, the vision and the solution finding is more important than ever. And I think also the education and the advertising at school is important, because showing the world that the rental business is something really great that you can work in, and you can do a lot of stuff, and you can learn a lot of things for yourself, and also for the market, is something that we should show. And then is really important that we work together, not only as companies, but with institutions and with associations, that we attract more people.
Thank you very much, Daniela. That is all very it's very interesting insights into building a company culture and uniting a workforce around a common set of values. Now, Jean-Baptiste also talked about some of the challenges that the industry faces. So I was wondering, Florence, what do you think the experience is for companies in France, and what is DLR as an association doing to support rental companies?
Well, I think for what the companies do is probably similar to what Daniela explained. But as a national association, federation, we're complementary to this acts and what they do. We act upstream, I would say, because when the companies communicate on their own and on their identity, we have to do it for everyone, for all the companies. Well, there can be big or small, or everybody is as a member of the federation. We have to help them all. So in DLR we have a commission on jobs attractiveness, which gathers mainly human resources and technical managers, which are particularly invested in those subjects. And so they work for their own company, but also for the common interest. So for there's not today, but it's the problem with especially with the technical, you said, with the technical jobs is long. So for many years we worked on it, and we developed a lot of communication tool, I would say, leaflets and posters and our shirts to be identified when we go to orientation fairs or events. So it's important to have those tools to introduce to the general people what are our jobs. We are a B2B sector mainly. So unlike automotive, for example, young people especially don't know our jobs, and for it's the same thing for dealers and rental companies. It's the same problem. So we first have to do that. We also work, you told about talk about with the educational ministry, to be sure to have always professional trainings adapted and always evolving with the jobs in reality in the companies. It's important to talk about that too. We have a lot of testimonials and videos we relayed on our web TV with both boys and girls, because you talked about the girls, and it's there are less than 1%, I think, in the technical jobs. So it's important for them to can identify and say, well, why not me? So it's also an important part of the job. And there's an event that we're very mobilized on. It's WorldSkills, because it's skills and jobs competition, because it's a great showcase of both jobs and trainings for this profession. So it's important for us. We took the I think it's heavy vehicle technology at the international level, the name of the skill, and France brought it to the international level because it was important to relay it and to put young people involved in these jobs at the top of the podium, and to show them to well, for others to be able to identify and say, I can do it too.
Thank you very much, Florence. I think, I mean, we've heard about company culture and tradition, and we've heard a whole range of activities that an association can do to support the industry. So I don't know, Jose, Jean-Baptiste, if you want to react to either of those things.
Well, we mentioned already the importance of people on our industry, and coming back to why we're doing this webinar, which is the European Rental Week, is one of the key initiatives that we have on the European Rental Week is we are encouraging the workers of our industry to tell on video, as you were saying, Florence, to show testimonials, because probably the best way to attract, you know, friends or colleagues or even family members to our companies is sharing their own experience. So this is one of the things that we are trying to do during the European Rental Week, encourage everyone. In fact, we have this competition you mentioned before, you know, the video that gets more likes on any social networks, more interactions, we will bring that person to Lisbon for our convention. Whoops. But, you know, moving on, when we are a resilient industry, we are also on the front of change, because the customers, if they have their own equipment or takes them a little time to be adapted to a new digital model or more green equipment and so on, but rental is very creative. You see a very entrepreneurial environment among the company owners and the managers, and like, okay, this could be interesting for our customers, let's try this equipment, how about we provide this service? So our people are most of the time part of the solution. So they participate on many different industries, being part of the solution of that industry. And this is what we want to highlight with the European Rental Week.
I think maybe Jean-Baptiste, there's been a lot of talk about how it's maybe difficult. I mean, the whole issue of awareness of the industry, and there may be certain kinds of people who typically don't know about the industry or maybe underrepresented in the industry. What do you think? How do you think these challenges can be addressed, or do you think what the rental companies are doing at the moment is kind of sufficient?
Well. There are many things that have been implemented these past months and probably years in the industry to reinforce the representation of the overall jobs that are practiced within the industry. But I think that the major effort has to be for the public to know what's happening within the industry, because what strikes me is that this industry is everywhere. It's everywhere where you are in the street, when you are in events, when you are probably on holidays. You see rental everywhere, but people don't know about the industry. So that really strikes me a lot, because when you see something every day and that you don't know what's happening, it means that there's a marketing and branding problem, branding issue. And I think that companies address it. They address it well, but they address it from a company perspective and not always from an industry perspective. And from my opinion, but I mean, it's only my opinion, I think that national associations and ERA have a tremendous part in promoting the industry and enhancing what all the companies are doing, small and big companies, because it will be very reductive to talk only about the big initiatives that we see on social media and that we see everywhere. I think that small companies also do a lot at the local level, especially, and this has to be enhanced and reinforced, from my perspective, by the national associations and ERA.
Thank you. Yeah, well, you mentioned that small companies are doing a lot, as well as big companies and associations. I was wondering, maybe are the challenges the same for companies of all sizes, or are there different challenges for small, medium, and large companies in trying to find the people they need to make their business a success?
So I think whether small or big company, important is that the person that works in the company understand the vision of the company itself. And once they understand the vision and they know why they work for the company and how they can do better, it's getting easier. So it doesn't depend on the size of the company. It's more like how a person knows about the culture and the most about the vision of the company itself, and how the person can work in the company and get responsibility for the things that they are doing. And this is not, for me, it's not depending on the size. It's just more an approach to the people who work in the company, from the board, from the leadership, and what they give the companies back.
Florence?
I think both type of companies have their advantages and convenience. Well, I think what you say is important. People have to be well where they are. And in French, we say, il faut de tout pour faire un monde, which means that some people will be better in big companies and some will feel better in smaller. It's not the same, but I think you can like both. It depends on you, and the culture of the company is very important to talk about it. And I think it's very important. So I'm not sure it's a question of size it's really of a question of culture and how do you feel in it. And in both you can have evolving careers. So that's important for the people to know it too, because they really can, in a small or in big, it's the same. they can evolve and have a good career anywhere.
So as well as buying into a kind of vision and identity, a clear career path is something else that can be very important for people. So, Jose?
Yeah, I wanted to react because after I spoke, Jean-Baptiste just put us on the spot, you know, like associations have to do more. And I'm going to tell you a secret, okay? Just to all of Europe. When we were preparing for the rental week, and I'm talking about it in Spain, which is where our association. So we prepare a package with dissemination materials that had to be made by the, you know, different working groups about so many different topics, you know, scaffolding, modular spaces, and so on, with comic books, cartoons, all of that material. And that was sent to the community managers, to the communication people from the different companies, and so on. And they said, but this material is just marvelous. And sometimes we have to repeat and repeat and insist and share the materials and the efforts that we do together. So, I mean, you're right. But on the other side, we also are learning from this experience of the rental week. It's the first time that we do it. Probably next year will be even better. You know, if we're lucky and the board continues to support us, it will be even better. But it's working really well because we are realizing that how many materials, as Florence was mentioning before on DLR, we copy a lot of things from each other. So we have already a lot of things. It's just we need to do noise about them together. It's just, you know, when you get the food on the supermarket, you also have to be aware of the transport from the agriculture to the supermarket. So we are not the transport, we are the enablers of many different industries, as you mentioned before. So we have to show that.
Just add something, because I think it's really important that associations, institutions, and company work together to get to know the rental business. And I think for once, company should forget about the competition and to work more like for the whole business, because I saw this in on other markets. Everyone was complaining, but then no one started to work together. And I think we can do it better if we start to collaborate.
Yeah, so, well, act together for the common good of the industry. And yeah, building on what Jose said, what we try to provide as ERA is a kind of platform for the associations to talk to each other and to share their knowledge. And a big part of European Rental Week is, again, to evaluate what works, what doesn't work, and to kind of build those it's a learning experience. So build those best practices that everybody can benefit from, whether a member of ERA or not. And so in whatever country they're in within Europe. So as we are getting towards the end of the panel, I think I would just like to ask each of you if you have any final thoughts.
Well, thank you, Jose. Well, I don't know if it's final thoughts, but it's just to bounce on what you mentioned earlier on the green and digital transitions. I think that this evolution, what some people call a revolution, will effectively impact the industry and the different jobs that are within the industry. But also, we're talking a lot today about the field jobs, but also in headquarters for bigger companies, because the green and digital transition might have an impact on new jobs like data analysis or professional responsible for ensuring environmental compliance. I think that these two kind of jobs, in data on one side and in compliance for transitions on the other, will also be something new for headquarters across Europe.
Jose?
Well, my message is to everyone that is out there, just be proud of what you do. This is the week. I mean, just be proud and tell it to the world. Be proud of what you do, as whatever you do on rental. We don't care if you're a manager, if you're working on a site like this. I mean, to get this ready, we had a lot of people helping us before. Just tell it to the world, to your family, to your friends, to your colleagues. Just be proud of it. And this is the rental week. Enjoy it.
Daniela?
So for me, we need more diversity in the rental business, and if there is more diversity, you get more attracted as a market too. So more ladies, more young people who want to join the rental business.
Thank you. And Florence?
I would say be complementary, continue, and join the business. Of course, that's, I think that could be the last word. Join the rental business.
Yeah, enjoy your business, be proud of what you do, and let's get everyone, all people involved. So I would like to then thank Jean-Baptiste and Jose and Daniela and Florence. It's been a very interesting discussion, at least for me, and hopefully for everybody else.